Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Ultimate Bucket List, and on today's show, I show you around Kew Palace and Kew Gardens, the smallest royal residence in the world, on the grounds of the largest botanical gardens, also in the world. Kew Gardens is a royal botanical garden located in southwest London that houses the largest and most diverse botanical collection of flora and fauna in the world. It's over 300 acres, has over 50,000 species of plants, and even has a royal palace on the grounds, the smallest in the royal collection. But it's the sheer amount of things to do here that you'll find fascinating. Now once you leave Kew Gardens Station, you'll find that because this place is so big, there's 4 different entrances. So depending on which entrance you go into, depends on which attractions that you see first. But to show you the sheer scale of this place, let's have a look at a map of Kew Gardens. This doesn't look like much, but I assure you it will literally take you about 30 minutes to walk from one end to the other. And this is how big this place actually is. I came in via the north entrance, so the first attraction we'll come to is Kew Palace. Out of all the UK royal palaces, this is the smallest, and is the former home of King George III. You might know him as Mad King George, and if you're not sure what he looks like, well, he kinda looks like that. When you step into the place, you'll immediately find that history oozes from its walls. The first thing you'll come to is the King's Library. George III was apparently an avid reader. Admittedly, there's not so much in here now, there's a few books on display, but it's mainly portraits. It's a good place to start the tour of the palace. Next, learn about the entire royal family lineage. It's surprising to know that George III and Queen Charlotte had so many kids. Check out their dining room. It doesn't look like much, but believe it or not, this is a royal dining room. There's also the breakfast room, which doesn't really have any breakfast stuff in it, mainly just needlepoint embroidery. And when you walk around the place, you'll think that you're in just some normal stately home, rather than a royal palace. But that's the idea. This place was designed as just a big giant home. It wasn't really anything grand like the Tower of London or Buckingham Palace or Windsor Castle or anything like that. When you go up a floor, you'll see all of the rooms associated with the female members of the royal family, such as the boudoir, where the female members entertain themselves, the Queen's drawing room, which is where the Queen entertained guests and played on this lovely looking harpsichord. Check out Elizabeth's anteroom, which isn't all that big and it's kind of hard to justify a use for it. Elizabeth's bedroom, pretty much exactly as how she would have lived in it, and boy, that bed is really small. The most haunted room in the house is this, Queen Charlotte's bedroom. Now unfortunately Queen Charlotte actually died in this very room, and members of staff and members of the public reportedly see her ghost on occasion. If you're into ghosts and ghost hunting, this is the most likely place that you'll find her. If you want to know what she looks like, well, she kinda looks like this painting right here. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask the members of staff who are all dressed in these lovely period costumes. But when you go up to the second floor, that's the point where things turn a little bit sinister. As I've already mentioned, King George III suffered from what was deemed as madness. We know it today as mental illness and anxiety, but back in the day people didn't really know much about it. So the doctors, rather heavy-handedly, pretty much quarantined him to the second floor, which looks like this. Imagine you're the king of a country and you're being locked in rooms like this. Unable to see the rest of the family, unable to interact with the outside world. It's enough to drive anybody mad being stuck here, but that's how they tried to deal with it. This is pretty much the conditions that he would have lived in. Far cry from the luxuriousness of a royal king. And if you are, or you think you are, suffering from a mental illness yourself, they've left out self-help pamphlets for you to try and get help. So please, if you are suffering from some kind of mental illness, please get help. It certainly beats being locked up in a place like this. I don't want this video to be a complete downer, so let's look at something a bit more positive. Welcome to the Queen's Garden. This is traditionally where the royalty would host their garden parties and grow wild and exotic herbs. It's also a fantastic garden to walk around. Yes, it's actually a lot of fun. And it affords some very nice photo and video opportunities, particularly of this corner right here. Right nearby is the Royal Kitchens. This is where all of the food would be prepared before being brought into the palace. It's very interesting to walk around. The attraction I really wanted to see most is this, the Great Pagoda, which is located on the other side of Kew Gardens opposite Kew Palace. But you're probably going to be asking me, why is there a Chinese pagoda in a British Royal Botanical Garden? This was a gift to Princess Augusta. Well, what a gift to give to a girl, I guess. You have to pay extra to go up the pagoda, and I technically had tickets for the last showing of the day. However,
So guys, I grossly underestimated how big this place actually is, and it's taken me about 20 to 25 minutes to walk from the palace to the Great Pagoda, which I technically bought tickets for. And I've got here with about 10 minutes left to go, and they've closed the door in my face. Yay! So, tip for you guys, if you do want to visit the palace and the pagoda, get here early. I'm not joking.
So at this point, I'm kind of walking around with a frown on my face, but I didn't have to walk too far to get to the Japanese gardens. Yes, another oriental thing that happens to be in a British botanical garden, that and this peacock that's trying to hide from my camera. And it's at this point that I should tell you about what's actually in the botanical gardens. One minute you feel like you're in the redwoods of North America, the next minute you're in Victorian England with Victorian glass houses, and the next minute you're amongst Japanese cherry blossoms, Chinese statues, and you're transported immediately to Asia. And you'll come across some Greek-style temples as well. You can literally visit the entire world from this one place, which is kinda awesome. And there's over 300 acres of it. Most likely you'll get lost, so keep an eye out for the signs and the maps, they'll point you in the right direction. Eventually, we come across Queen Charlotte's cottage, which looks like a fairy tale thatched roof cottage that you've probably seen in the storybooks. Believe it or not, this was used by the Queen as a sort of holiday home for her and the kids. And there's plenty of things to see around the grounds. Is it open? Oh, wait, no, it's not open, but that's okay. You can see inside it, and even though it's pretty in a kind of retro kind of way, I definitely wouldn't like to be stuck here at night. Eventually, you'll come to a giant glass house in the middle of the botanical gardens. This is the Temperance House, and it's famous for being the world's largest Victorian greenhouse. This place is massive, and you'd probably pay good money just to see this on its own. So the fact that it's included in the price of all of this makes this pretty good value for money. You'll see plants that you've not seen for years, you'll see flowers that you'll never know existed, and you'll get to see all the diversity that the world has to offer in terms of greenery, plants and flowers. I didn't even know what a golden lotus banana plant is. Apparently, it's that. It will take you a while to walk through all the wings of this greenhouse, but I urge you to take your time and enjoy the greenery and the exotic plants and the interesting statues located in the Temperance House. Another cool thing you can do is actually climb the spiral staircase and you can look at it from above. The Victorian architecture is pretty stunning as well, as it is the largest Victorian greenhouse in the world. Take your time to look at this bit because you probably won't see another one like this ever in your life. Not only is it full of plants, it's also full of art, and there's two world famous art galleries located on the grounds, the Marianne North Gallery and the Shirley Sherwood Gallery, both located south of the Temperance House. There's other attractions too, such as the Arboretum, which is full of very exotic flowers, and the Water Lily House, which is fairly self-explanatory, it's full of water lilies. But wait, what's that in the distance? Is that a walkway amongst the trees? Yes, it definitely is. This is the Treetop Walkway. where you can walk amongst the trees and get a nice bird's eye view of the entire gardens. But be warned, it's a hefty climb up to the top, and the floors are made of mesh, so if you are scared of heights, well, it's a pretty scary experience.
This is fine so long as you don't look down, because if you look down, it becomes immediately obvious that you're way down there and vertigo starts slipping in. So yeah guys, seriously, don't look down.
You know, I'm not exactly scared of heights, so this didn't really bother me, but on a very windy day, I can imagine that this can be quite unnerving. But the views at the top more than make up for it, and if you're not scared of heights, I strongly urge you to go up the treetop walkway. The other giant glass house located at Kew Gardens is this, the Palm House. This is where they house all of the tropical plants. It's a fairly old house, and if you're wondering why it's so steamy in here, it's because it's absolutely boiling in here. It's hot, it's humid, pretty much like an Amazon rainforest, but I guess that's the entire idea. I struggled mightily to actually see where I was going, mainly because I need my glasses to see and they were all fogged up. But eventually, when I did regain my sight, it was a pretty cool walk amongst the tropics. But I'll be honest with you, I was glad to get out of there.
Boy, am I glad to get the hell out of there. That was a very, very steamy place, so if you do come to the Palm House, yeah, it's really hot in there.
The last of the giant conservatories is the Prince of Wales Conservatory. Once again, it houses some very exotic plants, probably some that you haven't seen before. It's very interesting to have a look at. Particularly the outside, where they've got interesting looking plants in and amongst this unique shaped conservatory. The Davis Alpine House right next door, check that out as well. But one of the weirdest things that I encountered here is this, the Hive. This is some kind of metal structure, supposedly resembling a beehive but made out of metal. And not only is it made of metal, there's thousands of LED lights, and it has this weird vibrating music. It's incredibly hard to describe, it's just very, very strange. What's even stranger is this lady right here who's deciding to meditate in and amongst all this steel. I don't get it personally, but I guess it appeals to some people. Whilst you're exploring the woodland scenery, the exotic plants, the gorgeous flowers, you'll come across various things like lakes, temples, and what looks like stately homes. This one I thought was some kind of stately home. Turns out it's actually a restaurant. Yes, it's the Botanical Brasserie, and it looks like a pretty fancy place to eat. The prices aren't actually that bad, then again you are on royal grounds, so bear that in mind. I can't emphasise the amount of varied stuff that you'll see here at Kew Palace and Royal Botanical Gardens, and there's even sections of it where you can hire it out for things like weddings. This would be a really cool place to have a wedding. Overall guys, if you like royalty, nature, history and art, definitely visit the Royal Botanical Gardens here at Kew. You've literally got everything on one site, and it will take you an entire day to see all of this stuff. It's a great day out for the kids and families, and also if you're a tourist, take in some culture and some history here at Kew.
Okay Nin, I'm sold. What do I need to do? Well, you need to come here to Kew Palace and Gardens. It's situated in the town of Kew, and it's about half an hour outside of central London. To get here, you'll need to either take the tube or the overground train to Kew Garden Station. And unfortunately, Kew Garden Station is about a 20-minute walk away from either the north or the south entrances. I came in via the north entrance, which was the complete opposite end to the pagoda, so bear that in mind. I wouldn't recommend driving here because there's not really many places to park, so be warned. And you can also use other forms of public transport such as buses. The cost? Well, it cost about £18 to do this. And even though it's listed on the HRP website, you unfortunately don't get free entry even with your membership, which I found out the hard way. The pagoda is extra, about £4.50. I'll be trying to get a refund on that shortly. And is there anything else I need to know? Yes, you'll be doing a hell of a lot of walking, especially between attractions. It's literally about 35 minutes from end to end. and that's a considerable walk. If you are somehow physically disabled or you can't walk that far, keep an eye out for the people movers and the guided tours so that you don't have to walk all that distance. It will take you a while to see absolutely everything, and I'm not joking about that. Come early, make an entire day out of it. Don't come late afternoon like I did and expect to cram everything in 3 hours, because quite frankly, you won't be able to. But overall guys, if you love royal palaces and history, this is definitely one of the ones that you definitely have to come to. And if you have enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like, share and subscribe. Comment on the comment section below, and if you've got any other bucket list ideas, you know what to do. If I get enough suggestions, I'll go ahead and do that. So guys, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode. If you're wondering what that noise is, that's the Heathrow planes flying above our heads. Yay! I grossly underestimated how long it would take to see everything, and how long it takes to walk between things. Now, unfortunately, I got here at about mid-afternoon, and by the time I'd actually got to most of these attractions, like the pagoda, they'd actually closed. So I was actually lucky enough to see everything, well, mostly everything before it shut.